And now, a thought from Mann. What type of criticism is good criticism? Most of the time people like giving their own critiquing of things, but a lot of the times they don't end up adding anything new to the conversation. Most of the time they'll say something about something that's just so vague and empty that what the hell are you supposed to do with that information? Sometimes people will just say, "Oh, I don't like that, it sucks. Oh, you did this wrong." But really, is that helpful? Does that help the creator at all? Most people always like saying, ignore the critics, they don't really matter, but sometimes critics do matter because sometimes they're being constructive and telling you what you did wrong and how you could fix it. But of course, a lot of the times you get critics that just say, no, you did this wrong, and just leave it at that. So really, what's the point of hearing you out if all you're going to do is harp on the things that you're critiquing? You're not really being helpful, you're not helping that creator. If anything, you're being hurtful, you're discouraging people from wanting to get into that field. A lot of the times you have movies where the critics just hate the movies, but the audience love it. For instance, Suicide Squad, people really liked the movie, but critics just completely hated it. The general consensus from the critics was that the story was very weak, and while that is true, they don't really offer a means to fix that for the future. I would say this: maybe you should just not use Enchantress because she's just not that interesting of a villain. Maybe next time you should use Joker because he could kind of introduce a new dynamic for the team because Harley Quinn has a connection with him. That's ultimately some good critiquing right there because you're actually helping the creator better themselves. Constructive criticism definitely seems like the best type of criticism. Like Nostalgia Critic, basically, whenever he's talking about a movie or doing a review, he usually tells you what you did wrong and how you could fix it for the future.
Why does this get me so angry? Well, because it raises the question, why the fuck do we have a different dimension in this movie? Why couldn't Felix just be in Oriana, the strange world? He's already strange! He's a talking cat! It's not like the real world meets something odd and whimsical, it's weird-ass shit meeting weird-ass shit! So this plot point has no purpose. It's just wasting time.
And that's ultimately helpful. That's something that the creator can look back on and think, okay, that's gonna be down in my notes. It's basically like if you got a test from a teacher and they gave you an F, but they tell you some little side notes here and there as to what you did wrong. That's something helpful that helps the student get better. It's better than a teacher just giving you an F on an assignment and just giving you red marks here and there and just saying you did wrong on the assignment and they just leave it at that. They need to be able to tell you did wrong, but here's how you could do better next time. Or say Andre the Black Nerd. He basically goes at things from a more positive perspective, but he tends to also give some solutions as to how they could do better for the future. Artists really like hearing how they could do better. They like hearing, okay, you may have messed up this part, but let me show you how you could do better for the future. Rather than just saying, oh, this sucks and that's horrible. That's not helpful. It's not helping them become better at their craft. If anything, it's stagnating them, and that's not good for art, definitely not. Something you should always do is tell them what they did wrong, but at the same time, what they could do right in the future.
While a couple of the pop songs in this movie are a little cute, the Gem theme song is nowhere to be found in this movie. I would have accepted a punk rock remix, a dubstep tribute, electronica Skrillex, whatever Daft Punk thing you wanted to do to Gem, rap it out, I don't care, truly outrageous motherfucker, I don't want to take it any of that. Just some version of the theme song in a movie about Gem and holograms.
There's definitely different attitudes you can have when critiquing things. Hemet Mehta, aka the Friendly Atheist, he usually goes about critiquing Christianity or religion in general in a kind of soft-spoken manner.
Religion often teaches children to do the right things for the wrong reasons. If you want to teach your kids to act a certain way, that they should tell the truth, for example, many parents teach their kids that God doesn't want them to do it because it's a sin. If you lie, God will get upset or angry. God hates sinners. God killed Jesus because people were sinners. You got blood on your hands, kid. How awful is that? To tell a kid who probably just doesn't know any better that he's guilty of a crime that put someone to death. That's silly anyway. I mean, you shouldn't lie because society wouldn't function if everyone lied to one another.
He tends to be able to sway you by not making the other person's argument sound stupid. It just sounds like it's a little misguided and maybe you shouldn't hear it out so much. You have other type of critics for religion who can be a little bit more angry about it, but they tend to be right. They just use very good arguments that are just very persuasive in pointing out certain hypocrisies and whatnot, and even the friendly atheist does that. They just know how to use very good arguments. Like Kyle Kowinski from Secular Talk, he definitely sounds a lot more angry when he's going against religion, but a lot of the time his arguments you understand and they make a lot of sense. That's sort of a way to go about critiquing. Give good arguments, sort of be angry if people aren't getting it, or be friendly if you're trying to get more people to your cause or to your side. You just have to kind of pick which one will work for certain kinds of people.
If you're somebody who reads those parts and goes, yes, because it's from God, it's true. How stupid are you? How stupid are you? It's not a fucking science book. It's a book written by idiots in the desert thousands of years ago. It's not true. It's not true. In the Bible, there's parts where they allude to the earth being flat. If every word of it is literally true, the book is just wrong, because that's not the case. It's just not the case. There's 7-headed dragons in the Bible. Guess what? That's not a thing. When you count up all the stories and go back, the world's only 6,000 years old according to the Bible. That's not accurate. You're reading fucking Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings.
Criticism is definitely a very tricky game, but it's one worth playing. There are different ways of critiquing things, but I guess the best way probably would be constructive criticism. It tells you you're wrong, but tells you how you're wrong, and what you could do right for next time, rather than just saying you're wrong and leave it at that. It's a means of progressing whatever you're critiquing. There are different attitudes to go about when critiquing things. You could be friendly and kind of comforting to get new people invested into what you're talking about, or you could be kind of mean and angry, but ultimately right about what you're talking about, that it starts to snap with people. They're just different means that attract different people, and you just kind of have to pick which one will work for whatever audience you're trying to get. Critiquing is definitely something people need. It's just, it needs to be done the right way as a means to progress things rather than to stagnate and put people down. But that's just a thought.